Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you've had a hearty lunch by now. A very warm welcome to today's virtual event on the title AI at Scale Blueprint for Data Center Innovation in BFSI. I'm Yamini Kalra, Senior Associate Editor at ISMG, and I'm thrilled to be your host and moderator for the next hour. So here's why we're all here. We're at a pivotal moment in the BFSI sector. AI is no longer just a pilot or an experiment, it's powering mission critical use cases. Fraud detection, real time risk modeling, hyper personalized customer experiences, to name a few. But these workloads are highly demanding. They require immense compute power, secure environments, near zero latency, and of course, the ability to meet stringent regulatory and compliance obligations. And that's why the conversation today is really about the infrastructure that underpins this BFSI transformation. Data centers are no longer just a backend utility, they've become the foundation of trust, compliance, and resilience, basically a non negotiable at this point. And with AI scaling at speed, the definition of what makes the data center fit for purpose is also being redefined. I've set the context, and now, without much further ado, let's set the stage with a presentation from Cife Technologies, who are at the forefront of enabling AI-ready, future-ready data centers across India. It's my pleasure to introduce Gitesh Mahajan, Head of Data Center Business at Cife Technologies, who is joined by Sojan Joy, Vice President, Product and Solutions Head, Data Center Services at Cife. Guys, take it over.
Thank you, Yamini. Thank you for a brief presentation. Brief introduction, and so thank you very much, everyone, for taking out your valuable time and joining this virtual session. Um, I am Gitesh Mahajan. I head data center business for Cife Infinity Spaces. I am sure you all must be familiar with Cife as a brand name. Cife Technologies is the one who started the cyber cafes in India, and that's where we first interacted with Cife from the Yahoo chat, right? From there on, the journey has been great for Cife as an enterprise services companies, where the Cife was transformed into B2B services. And further to that, we have divided our business into three business lines. First is Cife Technologies, erstwhile, which is into network and bandwidth related services. Second is Cife Digital Services Limited, which offers your data center cloud services and managed services. And Cife Infinite Spaces, which I represent and I head the business for, is offering data center co-location services to our end customer. And that is where we're going to talk today, how Cife has created a digital ecosystem with the innovation for our enterprise customers, which is AI ready, hyperscale, hyper connected, green, and edge data centers that spread across India in various key locations. Moving on, so in a context of India, from the user's perspective, the largest contribution comes from the BFSI segment. 70% of the business uh, for data center colocation is from BFSI industry in India, and 30% remaining is distributed between IT, ITES, telecom, and other industries. So for us, it becomes very, very important to focus and deliver services in line with expectation from the BFSI industry point of view. So which are the most critical important for BFSI industry? First and foremost is, everybody will agree, compliance and sovereignty. Compliance, for the simple reason, every banking customer, every insurance customer today is going in with the audit day in, day out with RBI or IRDA or SEBI from data security, data governance, compliances perspective. So all those standards, those are defined by these regulatory bodies. We ensure that all our data centers are complied to those standards, and our resources, which manages and operate data centers, are fully equipped to manage the audits those are going on through these various agencies. Then robust security, obviously, billions of dollars of business is running from the data centers. In the digital economy, all transactions are, so data centers have become the central point for all the transactions. So it has become the national critical infrastructure today. All the data centers where banks are running their core applications. Um,
I just wanted to check by what time you.
Sorry, there is a disturbance in between, but yeah. So robust security is something mandatory in all data centers. So we work on zero trust architecture with 10 layers of physical security in our data center. Now I combine these three things together because everybody now talking about high density GPU workload coming in, because as we progress, the densities of the racks are increasing. Earlier it was 4 kilowatt, which is normal, 3 to 4 kilowatt. Now the new normal is 6 to 8 kilowatt in enterprise segment, but it is moving towards 15 to kilowatt, for high density consuming customers. But when we talk about GPU, we are talking about say 40 to 50 kilowatt being average density in the rack. So all this, what it requires is very, very low latency network to perform this kind of compute and transfer the data, because there will be huge data that will be processed on the servers, and that data in and data out has to be very, very efficient. So GPU plus low latency and sustainability. More you consume the power, more you are creating the carbon footprint. So these three things put together becomes a very, very important factor for the any industry. For that, we have designed our data center in such a way that we offer low latency in our data center campuses for high compute network. Also, we are using green energy to source power, right, for our data centers. So be it solar energy or wind energy. Our target in the future, further side, we will cover to be net neutral by 2030, carbon net neutral. And last but not the least, scalable infrastructure. So if you look at the increasing footprint of data center, uh, whatever is being projected by any enterprises today, in few years of time, they are falling short of whatever capacity they have subscribed. So it is very, very difficult to uh, actually uh, project or predict what is the infrastructure that is required from 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line. So scalability becomes the core of the data center, and that is how we have designed our data center campuses. So moving on to next slide, what is the core principle? So to take care of these these are BFSI requirement, we have worked on five principles to design our data center, across India in all locations. First and foremost important is scalability, that we touched upon the last point, because when your infrastructure is getting ready for AI, you would need more power. You require a lot of space, to expand further. So we are designing the scalable campuses with modern cooling technologies, where more and more power can be supplied to racks, whether it is rear door heat exchanger, or it is a liquid cooling architecture or immersion cooling. All kind of infrastructure is supported from our data center. Uh, Proud to mention that SIFI is the only data center service provider certified by NVIDIA for DGX ready liquid cooling solution. We have data centers in Mumbai, Noida, and Chennai, which are certified by NVIDIA for DGX ready liquid cooling solution to host up to 130 kilowatt in a single rack. With little modification, we can also scale it up to 200 kilowatt in a single rack. Second, scalability and modular design. As I said, if our customer wants to expand into data center, we have created connected campuses So customers has option to scale vertically within the same building or horizontally within the same campus via our fiber network. Third is edge computing. So nowadays data centers mostly are located into metro cities. But what we have done is we have created our data centers near tier 2 cities also, like Lucknow, Chandigarh, Nagpur, these cities, and we have created a network of data centers, connected data centers, which offers low latency where the actual demand is. Suppose user is sitting in Lucknow and want to access data in Mumbai, they'll be connected to Lucknow data center, and from there the core in Mumbai will be connected via ultra low latency network. So that kind of data center network that we have created. Fourth, sustainability that I have already talked about. We plan to be carbon neutral by 2030, even though data center is consuming high amount of energy. We have ambitious goal to be carbon neutral by 2030, and for that we are adopting various practices. First and the easiest one is obviously sourcing the green power for data center operations. And then in phase 2 and phase 3, we'll further optimize our supply chain in a way that we will be using material or following the practices so that we don't generate additional carbon footprint in the environment. And in the last but not the least is enhanced security and compliance, which is given for any data centers. We have 10 layers of security to reach up to the rack from the entrance of the data center. That's the typical data center security architecture. But going beyond that, we have also deployed our AI-driven surveillance global architecture in place, which ensures that threat is identified in advance and we are proactive rather than being reactive when it comes to security and compliances. These are our data center locations spread across India. Rabale being the largest because it's Mumbai which drives the demand for data centers in India. Almost 50 to 60% of the demand comes from a Mumbai location, and the rest is distributed between various cities. So as you see, SIFI is the first commercial. SIFI is the service provider who started the first commercial data center in India back in 2000. The interesting part of this is the Vashi data center that we started was started in a railway station, because back then 24/7 uninterrupted power supply was available only at the railway station. So that's where we started our journey for commercial data centers in India. Then further we have expanded into Airoli with 5.4 megawatt of capacity, and Rabale is the largest campus that we have, as you see in the slide, with 12 towers. Currently, 5 towers are live. Uh, Sorry. And as we speak, Tower 6, 7, 11, 12 are under construction, which will be delivered in next 6 to 8 months. So we're talking about capacity close to 150 to 160 megawatt going live in next 6 to 8 months from the same campus. So this kind of campuses we are creating to ensure that there is a supply of data center available to all our customers at any point of time. So even though say you are in Tower 5 currently and you want to add another 100 racks or one floor, additional floor you want to take in any other facilities, you can opt to take place in 11 and 12. Those will be connected via 4 fiber path. So that scalability is something ensured in all our campuses. Similarly, we have data center in Bangalore 01. Further, we are expanding into Bangalore O2, which is near airport. There we have plans of adding 2 towers, close to 40 megawatt of capacity. Uh, this is currently, as we speak, Tower 1 is under construction, which is 20 megawatt, and it will be live in April 2026. In Chennai, we had data center in Tidal Park. Currently, it is fully occupied. Hence, we've started a new campus in Chennai O2. That is a mega campus for us in Siruseri. where we have 120 megawatt of total capacity. Out of three towers, we have launched one tower a couple of months back, that is Tower B, that offers 43 megawatt of capacity, and currently space is available in this tower for all our enterprise customers uh, or hyperscale customers, whichever customer portfolio that we have. And then Hyderabad, we have one tower in financial district of 14.4 megawatt. Here we have one floor available. Further to that, we are expanding a very large campus in Hyderabad, uh, which is near Fab City. That will be 500 megawatt kind of campus. It will be a replica of what we have in Mumbai, and we plan to have build to suit kind of data center infrastructure there, which will be scalable to 500 megawatt. Similarly, in Noida, we had Noida O1 data center, which is completely occupied now. Next to Noida O1, we have launched one more campus, Noida O2, which is on the similar architecture what we have in Chennai, three towers, 43 megawatt each. Um, First tower has been inaugurated by Chief Minister 2 months back, and there we have space now. Tower B we are offering to our customers in Noida. Apart from that, as I've spoken earlier, we are further expanding into tier 2 cities. Those are our edge locations, Lucknow and Chandigarh. So we are starting from Lucknow. Lucknow we will go live in couple of months time, in Q3 end 2025, and Chandigarh would be end of this financial year. That's the plan that we have. Further to that, we will be adding data centers in Nagpur, Bhubaneswar, and other cities in next 3 years of time. These are the pictorial representation of the AI data center that I was talking about. So Mumbai, Chennai, Noida, these data centers are certified by NVIDIA for DGX ready liquid cooling solution. Uh, the design is certified for 130 kilowatt in a single rack, but with modification of design, we can easily support up to 200 kilowatt in a single rack. SIFI is gearing up, and that's 5.0, as we call of SIFI's transformation for AI journey, because we believe next decade will be artificial intelligence led technology transformation decade, where uh, all your services, be it network, data center, or applications, will be driven by adoption of AI. And that is where we are gearing up to support the AI transformation to our customers with our network spread across India, and network and data center POP locations spread across India in various cities. We also have our cable landing stations in Warsaw and Chennai Siruseri, which will be connecting our AI-ready data center campuses like Mumbai, Noida, and Chennai, and Bangalore coming up. That will give the complete portfolio of services, AI-ready infrastructure services to our customer across India in all cities. This is the last point which I would like to touch upon. In terms of operations, we follow one of the best practices for operations from a resilience point of view also. We follow the GC3 architecture, which is Global Command Control Center. We call it as GC3, where the command centers are connected to each others for these three locations, and any of the command center can take over the operations of other locations. So slowly we will bring all our data centers into this global command and control center, where we will be able to efficiently manage the operations of all the data centers, also offer the resiliency in terms of locations being operated to reduce the risk of operation in the data center environment. From the compliance perspective, needless to say, CFI data centers are certified for all required relevant certifications because we are hosting top 10 banks of the India, 600 plus enterprises, 25 plus mid-size banks and insurance companies, government agencies, mission critical payment platforms are hosted from our data centers, content service provider, hyperscalers. So that entire digital ecosystem that we have created requires, a lot of audits, certifications, and compliances. So all our data centers are equipped with relevant compliances and best practices. Proud to mention that we are the only data center service provider in India to get certified by NVIDIA for DGX ready liquid cooling solution to host up to 130 kilowatt in a single rack. Besides that, in our operational philosophy, we believe on 6 zeros commitment, and that is our commitment to our uh, customers because we understand the importance of data center infrastructure criticality. So what we strive to achieve is zero availability incident, zero resiliency risk, zero security incidents, zero safety. EHS is equally important for us from a data center operation and management point of view. Zero defects and zero carbon footprint. That is the commitment that we have towards the society and to support our customers' carbon neutrality goals. Thank you very much. Here on, I pass it on to Mr. Sojan Joy for more technical discussions on our data center design and architecture. Sojan, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Githesh. Thanks for this giving a brief about SEFI. So typically, we have all heard as of now till now that we have been building data centers across this thing. We have AI-enabled data center infrastructure, and what is the key pointers which we typically would want to understand is basically when we build this infrastructure, we have passed the journey. We have crossed the journey, a 20 years journey or a 25 years journey. We have crossed enterprise segments, hyperscaler segments. With hyperscalers, we have learned lessons. We have learned a lot of lessons in terms of lessons learned from these hyperscalers. We have built infrastructures for them, and that's where we understand the new technologies, new trends, new infrastructure. What is it coming in the market? What is the demand in the market? What is typically required for an AI-enabled infrastructure? So this is what we've understood, and based on this understanding, we have developed in a case that a live demo which can be actually put across to the frame and infrastructure. And these are the four parameters we typically look onto it. And addressing these four parameters, making sure that we are an AI-enabled infrastructure. You bring any type of racks or any type of equipments inside the facility, we will be able to cater, and we make sure that the infrastructure what we're building as of now today, or which is already built past 2 years, it's all future enabled for the next 10 years or next 5 years at least. Okay, so this is what we have focused on, the four elements: the power, the cooling, the network, and the server. From a power infrastructure, to the next slide. Gitesh, to the next slide, sorry. Yeah. From a power perspective, what we've done is basically typically we all know that how does a power redundancy to a end rack which has been catered. So from a grid level to the end rack. So we have a backup mechanism from the substation level to the transformer, to the switch gears, to the UPS, to the power, the PDUs, and to a single rack. So each rack will actually get a dual distribution power from two different grids. And it has been making sure that we have a high voltage which has been stepped down and catering to individual racks. Now, this has been factored. This is the normal architecture where every data center follows. But what we have done different is that we have ensured that this tapping box to a multi-environment clustered structure has been formed. We have enabled within the row itself, rack row itself, that we have high density racks, we have medium density racks, we have a low density racks. So we have cluttered in a way that if you see on the right hand side, the 1, 2, 7, and 8, and the N1, the NW1 and 1, so on. So those are the networking racks we have clustered in that way. 7 and 8 could be high clustered clustered racks. 1 and 2 could be medium density racks. So we have clustered in a way that it can equip within the server hall, within the power infrastructure with all the redundancy what will be factored. Second major factor is that we have followed a redundancy. Today, if you ask about uptime redundancy model, you've all heard about it. It's either an n+1 or an n+n. Okay, n+n could be a dual redundancy where nobody follows a tier 4. It is very difficult to enable an n+, where the infrastructure doesn't demand for it. So what we have done, we are doing an n+2 kind of a model with a 4n/3 architecture. 4n/3 means it's basically a distributed redundancy model. For every 4 n's, we are giving one, or for every 3 n's, we are giving one as redundancy. So if you hypothetically think about it, a DG generator sufficing the requirement for a capacity of a 40 megawatt or a 30 megawatt data center. Suppose there are 4 DG sets. So every 3 DGs, we have a backup, one more DGs in the set. Similarly, that goes up to the EH level, to the ELV level, that every what do you call panels, every PDUs, every distribution panel, distribution transformers, and everything is basically stepped down. And making sure that that has been factored in a redundancy model, and we are making sure that this is purely considering the future trends of the demands of the data center. Now, coming to the cooling side, as we said, like, we are all talking about AI, multiple hyperscaler requirements coming, hyperscaler enterprise segment, where today BFSI segment is majorly tasking or demanding for an R&D department or learning department or AI lab, where they want to test the lab, test the scenarios where multiple requirements are coming from the regulations. So like the RBI has some regulation which is typically putting a kind of a mandate that you need to have an AI kind of a lab setup, and this enable us to the GPU coming to the data center premises. Now, how do we do it? Is basically we are ensuring that our data center is well equipped with all the 3 types of cooling technologies, which is starting from a rare load heat exchanger. So that is the first model what we typically talk about. Suppose you bring a rack which is basically not require a cooling distribution or a liquid cooling enable. So what we do is that we do an RDHX model or a cooling solution to that. Second model, what we give is the direct to chip liquid cooling, where you have an H200, NVIDIA's H200 or a GB200 kind of a setup, and it is mandate that you need to enable the liquid cooling. We also our cooling infrastructure will be enabled with this second technology also. The third option is what is immersive cooling. So immersive cooling is where you have a dielectric liquid and the entire server is dipped into the immersive cooling system. So these 3 setups are available as of now within the premises, and so that you bring any kind of a setup, whether it is today's scenario or another 10 years roadmap or a 5 years roadmap, which you can be. So our cooling technology with the proper infrastructure, with the proper piping system, with the power units, the cooling, and this becomes a best efficiency for the system. Now, this is the third very important factor with the server on. So when you say you have factored the power, when you have factored the cooling, third is a server on. How do I justify making sure there is a different type of clustered in this entire room? This entire room has got mix of liquid cooling. This also needs to have a mix of RDHX kind of a setup. There is an also air-cooled kind of a setup within the premises. There is also immersive cooling kind of solution. So within the server data hall, we enable making that cluster environment as what you said in the power requirement. We enable racks within the power prerequisites, and making sure the blue color what you see on the centers are basically all those racks. So we have a cluster for high density racks, which is typically factoring for liquid cooling. It could be a liquid cooling option, it could be an immersive cooling option, or it could be an air cooling option. So these 3 can fit in within the same server. So the other major factor was the server load. If you see the previous slide, Gitish. Yeah. If you see today's demand, which has coming from a 42 rack to a 52 rack. So that has enhanced the load of the weight of the rack itself. It is no more a lightweight. It's a very heavy loaded rack which is populated. Okay, due to which
amount of credit in internal account due to delayed withdrawal message pending. Copy them.
Mr.
Sorry.
Sorry to break it. Can you please mute it? Yes. Sorry, Sudha. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So typically what has been understood that due to this heavy load racks, there has to be the building load or the building slab has to adjust that load. So what we are ensuring that each slab is been ensuring the weight capacity of 2,100 kgs per square meter. That's what we've learned the lessons from the hyperscaler. So we are ensuring that our AI-enabled infrastructure can withstand a heavy loaded rack, and that can actually be enabler for a future capacity store. So a 52 rack, a height of 52 rack can actually ensure a heavy load equipment up to certain tons. So that is something which we have factored in the server all. So yeah, over to the next slide. This is the prime requisites of every network, every AI-enabled infrastructure. We, as SIFI, we have started the journey with as an ISP, as a internet provision provider or an internet provider. We had ensuring that all our data centers are interconnected within our own SIFI's network. Okay, we have a direct backbone connecting to all this data center. So we are ensuring that NLD is purely connected within the SIFI's network. So that avoids the minimal latency, or that will give you best minimal latency to make sure that the data center or the server is hosted within the premises, within server locations, multiple locations, is well connected with the lowest latency, so that your applications run smoothly, without any hindrance or without any issues. That is one. Second, we ensure that we have reliable network access. We have tested and proved within the premises. We have given to multiple BFSI segment, which is hosted in the premises, making sure it is compliant with RBI requirement, the apps requirement, which is also majorly understanding the application prerequisites. So we have a managed services team, a cloud platform team, who actually understands and build a software-enabled network infrastructure. So anything from a networking topology to making sure to the lowest latency to end last mile connectivity is something what we offer as a part of our offerings. Third, cross connect is something which we offer from the MMR room, from the manual to the MMR room to your individual rack. That is something which we give as an offering. We ensure it has been supported, it is well handled by the certain SMEs, which has been taking care of the connectivity with ensuring proper guidance is there. Carrier neutral, which we have already discussed. I think so. 1 second, the older side. Yeah, yeah. So the best part is that we have access to all these cloud players. So within the premises, if there is like Azure, Microsoft, or the Google, or the AWS platform, which is hosted in our premises. So a customer who is hosted in our premise gets a direct cross connect to this infrastructure or this cloud place. They not have to go to the internet cloud to access this. They can have a direct robust connectivity within the premises. So that is something, a flexibility which we are offering to multiple, that is applicable for BFSI segment customers too. This is something, a major important thing, as we all know that BMS is considered as the brain of the data center, where starting from the framework to the digital vein or functional. But now, how do I define the framework? There are sensors, MEP sensors, mechanical, electrical, plumbing sensors in each of the equipments. This gives a functional to each of our software. This software actually triggers or pulls up all the data, making sure at the right time, at the pre-algorithm set which has been there, it understands and puts it into a database. There is an algorithm which said that up to for certain parameter or certain glitch, we have a benchmark system which we have already developed. There it gives an alert, and this has been developed in our knowledge base. So this becomes a kind of a algorithm to make sure that tomorrow a future trend problem which is arising, we investigate or we understand the root cause analysis at prior stage itself. So the framework actually is the brain of it. Digital twin is something which we make sure that there is a visualization which will involved to the end customer, whether it is an end customer or whether it is within the premises who's managing the data center, like the ops team or the technical team who's managing the net. He gets a complete visibility of what exactly is done. And because of this AI/ML feature, which has got integrated in all our devices with our sensors, with the software algorithm, what we put across, this becomes a dashboard to as a end client. There is an option given to as a dashboard to the client, so that the client actually sees the entire dashboard within the framework, saying that, okay, I get a visualization that the temperature increase, there is a remedy of it. This is the remedy of it. This is the root cause analysis. This is the change management which has been put across. And there are multiple variations which has been put across. So as a functional layer, it becomes an enabler for the operation team. It becomes a real-time dashboard to them. Second, the engineering team understand that, okay, this is due to this reason. And so in future design perspective, we have to design in such a way that it minimizes the risk. Okay. it becomes a management dashboard. So tomorrow I want to understand that, okay, or we as a data center provider, we would want to realize that, okay, how much capacity is there, capacity management, all those risk analysis, how much density is there per rack, what is the particular type of alarms which has been made. So from a management dashboard, this has been as a functional layer to the team, and it helps us in future planning. That's what we get. Yeah, next. Yeah. So basically, what we've done is this is a mixed flavor what we're giving in on the table on the platter. We are ensuring that we have a data center across pan India. We have a footprint of 14 data center which is live and operated. We have a capacity which is 277 plus megawatt, which is already running and functional, and which is planned to scale at 1 gigawatt capacity. We have 20 more data centers which is coming on ground, which is it is purely for a edge data centers model. We have a network fabric which has already been deployed across multiple locations in pan India, connecting all our data centers across in India. We are making sure we are AI-enabled infrastructure ready, which is ensuring that whatever servers, whatever storage, whatever system which we bring into the table, it can cater, it can take care from an infrastructure level, from a power, cooling, network, server angle. It can also ensure that the security protocols, which is typically angle. I understand that being handling all these enterprise clients, security is some of a major factor, which is I didn't cover it, but security is some of our key factors, which is typically as a physical security, we are ensuring that 10 layers of security which has been followed across all our data centers. 10 layers means it's all physical layers, physical security layers, which is starting from the main gate to the end data center rack. From an IT security layer, which can be detailed out from a managed services model or the digital services what we're offering. From an operation excellence, we believe from an operation and security this thing, we believe in zero failure structure, which is typically from all zero failures, whether it's zero carbon footprint from a green enabled data center. I haven't also touched base on the sustainability. Sustainability is something which we are purely focusing on. We have signed up with the solar and the windmills, windmill authority power sector, so that every data center will have the solar enable or the green energy renewable mix within the part of the power offerings. So today, when the customers demand for a power enabled renewable mix, we do offer them as a renewable power within the premises, within the power factor itself. So that is something which we have done. We have signed approximately 220 megawatt of capacity within as a PPA with all these authorities. We have a managed service platform which can incur or make sure that it's a bundle package, by ensuring that we manage the entire data center with an IT platform which can be given to the end client. We prove here that it's been a 25 years journey. We have been tried, we have been tested, and we have been trusted. And with all our services which is offering, we are globally announced from all this the number of awards which has been received till date. I really thank you for all your patience to go through the entire deck. Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's it from my side.
That was wonderful. Gitesh, Sojan, thank you so much for the very comprehensive presentation. I realize we're a little bit behind time, but I will request all my attendees and all the panelists to please stay on. We have something very exciting also lined up for everybody on this call. But before I move on, I also want to bring in our delegates here. And how I am trying to do that is by a couple of poll questions. So can you please have them on the screen, please? So we would just love to know where your organization is in its AI adoption journey. So it's very interesting. Just maybe tick one of these boxes. Are we exploring use cases, piloting AI models, scaling in production, or have you already started running large-scale AI workloads? And it's absolutely okay if you have not started yet either. So we'll just see where we are all positioned right now. Okay, can we have the answers, please? Responses, no?
This is the response.
Okay. Okay, so I think it's pretty close, just exploring use cases and piloting AI models. So this is what I am understanding, that a lot of the organizations here 60%, close to 60%, are in the initial stages of the AI adoption journey, which sets a very interesting context on where we should go from here, because there's a lot more to explore. With that, I want to start with a panel discussion. And this is something that I'm very interested in because we have a very exciting mix of BFSI practitioners. And may I please request all the practitioners to have their cameras on if that's possible. We'd love to, take a note of your expressions as well. But let's dive into the panel discussion with some of the most respected voices in the industry. And I'm very, very pleased to welcome Mr. Abhay Johari, Managing Director, Protivity India member firm, and the former head of digital strategy at ICICI and IDFC. Mr. Anish Koshi, he's the VP, Information and Cybersecurity Risk Officer at Standard Chartered GBS. Mr. Arjun Vikas Datta, Chief Compliance Officer and at HDF Financial Services and previously at the RBI. And of course, Sojan and Gitesh from Civi Technologies. Thank you all for being here. So let's have Mr. Datta also on screen. Hi, hello, Mr. Datta. Okay, so we'll give him a couple of seconds to. Okay. So I know we've promised a tight 1 hour for everybody, but please hold on. I just don't want to drag it, make it quick. All right. So Abhay, let's just begin with you because I have a very interesting question here. You have had a front row seat to how digital strategies evolve in banking. You've spent, correct me if I'm wrong, about 20 years in the banking industry. What's the biggest disconnect that you see today between BFSI ambitions around AI and the infrastructure realities on the ground? Where are the gaps?
Okay. So I think before we talk about the gaps, we should talk about what is it, that the leaders actually expect. What are the strategic ambitions? Yeah, and I would say they're broadly in 4 categories. The first one is obviously the classic machine learning era spillovers, which is largely around predictive and prescriptive decision making. Yeah. And again, you move away from reactive sets to more proactive kind of operations. So that's one big ambition. Yeah. The other one is around process automation at scale. Yeah, which is, you have to lower cost, you have to increase speed, agentic AI is here, computers can see better, orchestrate better. Yeah, so it's all there. Yeah. I would say these are the 2 big ones, but then there's also hyper personalization. Yeah, I mean, you talk about banking, retail, or media, you need to deliver tailored experiences in real time. Yeah, so that's AI helps there. And finally, and this is an emerging area where you also have new revenue models. Yeah, you have AI-driven platforms around dynamic pricing, data monetization. These are early days in these 4. So basically, there are these 4 ambitions. Yeah, that you want to achieve these things. Yeah. Now, the problem is that the reality actually falls short of this. And, I would say it's on 5 different frames. Yeah. The most endemic, the biggest problem really is with the technical capacity and the data foundations. Yeah. Now, technical capacity first. So limited compute integration, bottlenecks, and again, if you have some stuff on-prem and some of the cloud, then there is also this problem of this getting locked in very early on the cloud side. Yeah. So why is it persisting is, again, you have hardware shortages. You have a lot of legacy IT that is still not natively AI API enabled. And, the migrations are reasonably expensive to do. Yeah. So that's the number 1 issue. Yeah. The second one is actually slightly invisible, but, it's actually in a dire situation, which is data foundations. Yeah. So you have very poor quality data, which is also hopelessly siloed because, different stacks emerged at different points in time. Some of the data is inaccessible. It's still, locked into, log files or, kind of data types that you can't access very easily. And the reason why it's persisting is you have a lot of old legacy stuff. Yeah. I mean, legacy CRM, legacy ERP, lack of standardization. And obviously in some cases, there's compliance, set of issues as well. So these are the 2 big issues, but I would say this whole governance and trust piece, yeah, very weak AI governance, no foundations around explainability, bias mitigation. Yeah. So obviously, the reason why it's persisting is boards are not very tech fluent, and therefore they're not pushing for, these kind of things to to become center stage. Yeah. Then there are talent and culture sets as well. You have shortage of AI engineers, shortage of ML ops skills, change management. Yeah. And the reason why it's persisting still is you got a lot of competition with big tech, because those guys are also hoovering up, all the talent, and there is a reskilling lag. So this is an important one. Then finally, there are some external constraints. There is this entire supply chain fragility. There are these powers equations that need to be done for the data centers.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of regulatory change as well. So overall, from the ambition to infrastructure gap, there is a little bit of a shortfall. And I mean, the way to align it is to then again, break it up into what you can do in the short term, what you can do in the medium term, and what you can do in the long term. And my sense is short term, at least from the poll, I can see most of the guys have actually figured out that you got to focus on a few AI events. You got to invest in some data readiness and make sure that you start, getting these AI governance council. But I think the crucial part is what will take about 18 to 36 months to do, which is modernize the core infrastructure. Yeah. So, get onto hybrid clouds with interoperability standards, upskill the entire workforce, cross train all the data engineers onto ML ops roles, make all the business managers completely AI literate, and embed explainability. Yeah. I mean, ensure board level confidence and regulatory, kind of an alignment. In the long term, I mean, all our models will have to be AI native, massive amount of ecosystem partnerships that are needed. And also, from a supply chain point of view. Yeah. So broadly speaking, there is ambition. Reality falls a little short, and it can be fixed. Yeah.
Perfect. And on that note on modernization and multi-cloud, I think that brings me to you, Anish, because you have been a security leader for, again, over 20, 30 years now. And as BFSI moves AI workloads across hybrid and multi-cloud environments, the risk surface is also expanding. And it's a very critical area to work on and to look at. So from your vantage point, what's changing about the security landscape? And when it comes to resilience, do you think BFSI now needs to move toward self-healing, automated security responses beyond just traditional redundancy? And we also need to keep in account the infrastructure challenges here. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so when we use the terminology hybrid, right, it has been changing in the last 2 decades, right? It moved from on-prem cloud hybrid, and then it moved between cloud to cloud, and now regulators have been asking, okay, you guys are concentrating on one type of cloud provider. What if that cloud provider moves out, right? And the whole institution, financial institute, gets into trouble. So now there is a movement of multi-cloud, different providers, and the each have their own proprietary way of coding, data storage, and connectivity. So, and now that it's like between different clouds, it's not just storage, but processing and movement is different. So the complexity. So if you have asked me what are the challenges, is the first thing is the complexity of the architecture. Each has their own proprietary, and so there is a necessity that there is a collaboration between the different cloud providers so that the right APIs can move in, so to connect and do the right kind of data transfer, right? And that brings to the second one is the data flow, because even though the complexity is getting reduced, the data flow should be seamless, and that becomes the next challenge which we are facing. And then comes the inconsistent visibility of the data. How is it stored? Where is it stored? Right? Where is it processing?
Absolutely.
Right? And it would say that one would have a proper RAM-based, memory-based processing encryption, while the other does not. So all those challenges are there. And on top of that comes the new AI-specific vulnerabilities, right? That is a biggest challenge that we have to face. And the type of controls that we need to place are much more in-depth to be, right?
Yes.
And keeping that, like, just I believe it was Jitesh or Sojan who was sharing that about edge based processing, right? That is one of the things that today the market is really moving into, so that instead of moving it to multiple hybrid environments and processing it there, try to do it at the edge itself and then move it across. But that's a challenge because each environment has its own capabilities and operation setup, right? So there was a time where we did analysis. When we say it's a global analysis of around 1,000 IT professionals, when I say at the senior level, and 55% of them came told that the difficulty they felt was the poor integration. So when you take it at isolation, they're good, but the integration was a difficulty, right? So that, I think, is the one which I was telling about, the complexity that is coming in. And many of the times CISOs, especially CISOs, are telling that they need to be involved in that architecture, right? So it's a kind of a shift left, that they are there from the design phase so that they ensure that it's done. I know that it has its own challenges, right? We want to deploy things as first because we want to be market first, adopters first, right? But when security comes in, things get a bit more slow. But as a security professional, we would always say that that integration needs to definitely come in, so that the workloads, especially at the cloud, are placed correctly and efficiently at the VMs, at the containers, with AI powered detection and XDRs. So that is, I would say, that's the first place which we as professionals are quite concerned about.
Oh, that's very pertinent. Very interesting take, and I'll come back on it in a bit. But before I move on, I have been also told to get another poll question for our audience, just to get a hang of where we are all at. I think we'll be able to better understand where it's all coming from. Do you currently operate your own in-house data center? I think that's interesting because we have some questions for Sojin and Gitesh on co-location. Let's see.
Sure.
Okay, let's get the lay of the land. Can we have the responses now, or do we need to wait a couple more seconds, Sukrita? Your call. Okay, so let's see where we are. Okay, again, it's very interesting. 47% say they have the data centers in-house, and 32% have them partially in-house with some hosted. 21% are fully outsourced. So I think that's a very interesting stat to work with, especially Sodan and Gitesh, for you guys especially. But again, I'll come back to that in a bit. But I want to take Arjun sir's opinion on my next question, because he's a compliance officer and has worked in government and in private, so he's going to have a lot to say on this. Compliance mandates around data localization and auditability are also becoming non-negotiable, Mr. Datta. How do you see these requirements shaping data center and infrastructure decisions in BFSI? What's your take on that?
Thank you for inviting me in the panel. First of all, as a regulator or as a compliance, first thing we have to see the aspect of data privacy. Second thing is that whenever you are using the cloud, to what extent the cloud situation, the cloud server situation, the data service providers, the BCP, and all these things we have to take in care of. And the data, whether the data is transmitted in encrypted form and which form, data encrypted and decrypted, that we taken care of. And particularly in respect of DPDP Act, customer consent is required or not while obtaining data or not, sharing of data or not. These are the things particularly we see. So far as data sharing is concerned, it is still UAT is mostly UAT is an aspect. We are going to that. And we are trying to implement AI also in this area, but still it is a very nascent stage, frankly speaking. But anyway, things are everything cannot be disclosed here, but it is in the process, and process it will be. So AI has a lot of help we are likely to get from this. So I'm hopeful that this will not be pose any problem in future also, so far as regulatory point of view and compliance point of view also. Thank you.
Okay, amazing. Sojan, now you've heard the experts talk about the challenges. You've heard Building on what you've just understood the challenges from, how should data centers evolve to meet this unique mix? There's scale, there's security, there's compliance demands, there's speed, agility, you name it and it's there. And we talk about GPU density, power, cooling, correct. But from an infrastructure innovation perspective, how should data centers evolve to meet these very specific BFSI challenges?
If you, frankly speaking, data center, see, slowly, the concept of data center will be done away with. So you have to data center will be one person, or for a BCP purpose, it can be one or two places. But mostly you have to depend on cloud. The days are coming that AWS or Google or whatever it may be, the challenges will be there. Whether the situation of data center, whether it is situated outside India or inside India, that is regulators' main concern. Second thing is that sharing of data, how their data, whether to what extent they are leveraging our data. These are the things. But so far as your question about the data center concept, my view is that it will be blurred slowly, in the sense that it involves a huge amount of cost. So to do away with the cost, data center is a backup sort of thing, but mostly have to depend on the cloud. And cloud system should be a robust one, agile one, secured one, and it should comply with the regulatory requirements.
So, then your take on this?
Sure. I think Arjun has answered quite a bit since he comes from the same background. So typically what we've understood is targeting the BFSI segment is something which we ensure that there are two movements which is consecutively running. The one is the security, second is the cloud platform which they are strongly getting into. Now, when we deal with this cloud BFSI segment, dealing with cloud players, they wanted to get into kind of a cloud platform, which could be an Azure, it could be an AWS platform, or it could be a Google platform itself. This enabler we need to build in, and that is where SIFI comes into picture, where our SIFI digital services typically where we make sure that all our services is bundled with a software package. Now, it is a software distribution package which we give or enable as within the infrastructure. That is where it is an enabler. Understanding.
Can I pitch it? Sorry for disturbing you.
Yeah.
The data will be transported. It will be FSTP form and FTP form. So what is your take on that?
See, it depends on the type of topology which you as an end client would accept it. Because tomorrow, if the client, if FTP format, it might not be working because the regulatory bit block it. If it's a SFTP format, that would be acceptable. I think so that the second format is acceptable.
Exactly. Thank you for the update. That is a crux of the issue. Which form will transform the data, encryption, decryption, SFTP, FTP. These are the areas. These are the very challenging areas actually right now.
I agree with you, Arjun. So right from the front, because these are some of the peak areas or common areas which we have understood from dealing with end client and understanding the enterprise segment, where typically the major concern is security. Second is the cloud immersion. How do we immerse or making sure that it becomes like an open cloud players for them. At the same time, they understand the robustness of expansion. They understand the security protocols, and at the same time, we bundle this in the entire infrastructure. So coming from the packaging perspective, whether it is AWS, Azure, or either other industries, this is something which is typically followed. Security protocols has been typically understood where global players like hyperscalers, we get a glimpse of what exactly they're doing. At the same time, we also enable within our cloud platform. That is something which we do it in our premises. The last, not but the least, we are also governed, or we are also in track with the regulatory body, with like the RBI, the SEBI. Those are the guidelines which is typically been followed, and we understand the protocols, what is typically been nominated or what has been as a prerequisite for all this enterprise segment. So that becomes an ease of access to an infrastructure possibility or infrastructure offerings, that this is something which the regulatory is also obliged to make sure that it has been delivered, and making sure that it has been put across in the table. I hope
Yes,
I've answered. Yeah.
it's okay. It's one catch is there. So whenever you are the owner of data, so whenever you are obtaining data while onboarding the customers, you are the owner of the data, BFSI, whatever it may be, in company, banking, or NBFCs. So whatever data you are sharing, and whenever there is a breach of data, so ultimate responsibility will rest on you.
Exactly. I totally agree with that.
That aspect we need to be very careful, very careful. Supposedly SaaS model, what happens, that FTP is viewed by the service provider to whom they are giving the services actually. Suppose X SaaS model is taken care of by the various banks and NBFCs. Whether that FTP file can be viewed by other persons or not. There is a chance of hacking. So that need to be ensured right now whenever there is a big data concept is coming particularly.
Understood.
Excellent points there, both Arjun, Sojan, but I'm sorry I'm breaking the momentum here. Uh, because I realize this is a topic that I can actually take a couple more hours to discuss and a whole new webinar. So maybe we can plan something on those lines, Sojan.
Yeah, sure.
But I just wanted to pause for a moment to get our audience's reaction in, because I need to remind all of our panelists that we are here for our delegates. So let's just see what their opinions are. So a couple of poll questions. Can we please have them for the delegates here? Again, so interesting one. What kind of infrastructure are you currently using or planning to use for AI training and inferencing? I believe every decision maker here has heard that question a couple of times in the last couple of years. We would also like to know what matters most to our delegates when selecting a data center partner for AI specifically or general workloads. Okay, so interesting one there. And are they planning to migrate or expand their AI or general workloads to a co-location or hybrid cloud data center within the next 12 months? So some interesting sort of questions here. Let's see where we are at. I also want to remind our delegates that we have towards the end of this webinar. And while I say that, I understand we are at time, but please do not drop off, because we have some exciting token of appreciations for you. So please stay on till the end. Please drop your questions at the Q&A box and we'll take some questions also. And we have a QR code towards the end of our webinar here. And please stay on and scan the QR code to receive a token of appreciation from our end. Okay, let's wait maybe 10 more seconds and then we can, I would really love to know the responses to this, so I can't wait really, but Sukrita, I'll let you decide when to share the responses. Yeah. Okay. Let's see where we are at. 31% each on-prem infrastructure and private or hybrid cloud, and 28% say that they are using hyperscale public cloud for AI training and inferencing. So again, it's very neck to neck. Let's see for the next question. What matters most to you when selecting a data center partner? 38% say cost optimization. I think that's a very fair point. Followed by built to host high density GPU and general deployments. Again, very relevant in the age of AI. And proximity to cloud on-ramp and network hubs. 41% have no plans to migrate or expand their AI or general workloads to a co-location data center. And 28% are actively exploring, or 24% have planned with the next 12 months. So again, it's pretty cut to cut, guys. So we are a really interesting inflection point here. Perfect. And with that in mind, Gitesh, let's have you here and let's have you answer this question on co-location, because you just heard what our delegates are saying. Many BFSI firms are also moving away from building infrastructure in-house and leaning on co-location and managed services. We've seen that from the poll questions in this sample size. So, and it's pretty strong, 40 to 50%. So from your perspective, how are you seeing the strategy evolve, and how does resilience and continuity in BFSI data centers need to be redefined? You're on mute, Gitesh.
Sorry. So BFSI is regulated largely by RBI or IRDA compliances, and exchanges follow the SEBI compliances, right? So this industry, the data compliances from a governance point of view are very, very critical.
Yeah.
At the same time, being a digital economy, now India moving towards a digital economy, and pie of digital transactions are increasing uh, every day. Uh, there is a huge data processing that is required. The data is being generated and then processing is also required. That requires, so BFSI requires large infrastructure to process the data that we have generated by 1.5 billion people. With UPI kind of innovation, those have come in. The digital adoption is more and more increasing. Not only the data processing infrastructure, but also they need to ensure the resiliency built in the infrastructure. Uh, that requires adoption of latest technologies, high density servers, modernization of infrastructure, which is not possible in their own infrastructure. And that is something all banking customers have experienced. And most of the banks, almost all of the banks, have co-located in the professional data centers because of the very reason that compliances in the commercial data center building, commercial building for data center, um, power infrastructure that is required in the commercial building or commercial premises, and the cost of operations in the commercial premise is very, very high. So from the operations, manageability, and security and governance and compliance perspective, it is best for them to co-locate the data center infrastructure in the professionally organized and professionally managed data center service provider and focus on their banking rather than focusing on various non-compliances are being issued by regulatory agencies. That's number one. Number two, when we are looking at new technologies and AI being adopted, it requires GPU workload processing, which requires very, very high density server infrastructure, and that requires modern cooling technologies. That is not possible in their own data center, whether it is railroad door heat exchanger or liquid cooling, direct to chip cooling or immersion cooling. Any of that, it is not possible to modify a small footprint and implement within the own premise. And that's another reason that we have seen BFSIs have moved toward the co-location journey. And third, and this is the most important reason I would say why uh, customers these days are adopting co-location, because it's not about infrastructure only, non-IT infrastructure. It is about the digital ecosystem that has been created. So let's say I'll take example of our Mumbai data center campus, right, where we have top three banks of India uh, hosted their core, applications and running their applications from our data center. We have three out of four global hyperscalers in the same campus, running their infrastructure and providing services. We have largest payment platform of India providing service from the same campus. Almost 200 plus enterprises have hosted their data centers in the same premise. Along with that, we have content service provider, we have internet exchanges, and we have all telcos and large and small ISPs. So essentially, what we have created is a digital ecosystem. See, suppose one customer they want to they have their co-location in our Mumbai data center. At the same time, they have their scale out architecture on AWS or hybrid cloud environment on AWS. Now look at the advantage that they have with to connect to AWS, where we have our network. We AWS network pop is in there in Rabale data center campus. It is just an extension of fiber cross connect. So they save lot of cost on the last mile connectivity. Otherwise, they would have spent in any other data center or their own facility. Secondly, the performance or latency. Latency will be in the microsecond. Instead of sub millisecond that you look at when you host outside the data center premise. So that kind of advantage that now this digital ecosystem that is created in and around data center that is offered to enterprises, and that is translating into not only on cost saving but also enabling their business to perform better compared to the competition.
Yeah, perfect. On this note, actually, I know we're a little bit behind time, but again, I want to bring our delegates to the focus here. One more poll question before we wrap up the panel discussion, please.
Yamini, I have a query here. Can I do that
Yes,
now?
yes, please, please, of course, Anish. Go ahead.
So this is probably to Sojit and Jitesh, and I think this will be beneficial for our participants also. So I remember, I think one of you had said that there is a zero trust architecture that you guys are building, and naturally, a part of resilience that what I would look at as we would like to have most of it automated. So naturally, um, is there a possibility, or do you guys have moving, because we would look for moving from a traditional data encryption towards automated data security posture management, DSPM, right, which will automatically, or it's an automated process to discover and um, classify and protect the data. Also, with regards to, most of the time we've seen is sometimes the certificate management activities is very manual, right? So while we are moving towards the ACME, which is the automated certificate management environment, do you have those facilities also as part of your service?
Very good question. Sojan, Ritesh, anyone?
Yeah, so basically, if you ask us in terms of IT-enabled infrastructure or IT-enabled security protocol, which has to be followed, and everything has to be automated. See, we do have it. The point is that till what level, if you ask us, we'll have to engage with our cloud offering team, because those are the so-called SMEs for the security IT systems, and they would be the best judge to give an answer. But we do offer this kind of a service, and we have been coming from a software background, which is developed already in our network infrastructure. So security protocol with the software integration, making it an automated this thing, that would be a part of this thing. But as of now, if you want to answer me right now, it is a part of our package. But how depth is it? Maybe you'll have to check it with our internal digital cloud offering team, and that will be the best people who can gauge it and give it an answer.
Thank you, Sachin.
Gitesh,
Okay.
if there is anything, something on plus on it.
No, I think the best summarized, but see, there are two components to when it comes to data center, Anish. So, the data center security from physical point of view. So, data center co-location is taking care of data center physical aspects of the IT infrastructure. So, there we are talking about zero trust architecture from the access point of view. What you're talking about is the logical security on the application level and data protection and encryption level. That's the part of our portfolio under the SIFI Digital Services Limited, which I have spoken about. And we have SMEs which can give you detail of how we automate and encrypt the data security portfolio of ours. So that's something we'll be happy to connect to you with our SMEs.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, amazing. While we are here, Abhay, do you have any closing remarks? Let's just.
Yeah. No, I think what's happening is there is a very foundational shift, and some of us actually see it earlier. Data centers are now no longer one room which IT manages. Yeah, this is now central to a board level kind of a discussion. Yeah, and there's several reasons behind it. The more important ones are obviously the business impact ones. You need to differentiate, you need to get to the market fast, you need resilience in CX. There is a cost per unit value that you want, and there's some amount of capex that you recognize. Also, the fact is, because you have moved away from a room to pretty much everywhere, the fact to be noted is that there is some AI which is very latency sensitive. If you're looking at vision, or you're looking at Gen AI co-pilots and workflows, yeah, I mean, it's you need to have compute very close to the data. Yeah. And so therefore enterprises are actually designing workloads placement strategies. Yeah. So for example, model training. I mean, if you're developing model, then you have to do it in a GPU supercluster. You cannot do it in your own, owned, premises set. And low latency interfaces at the edge, which is where colos are important. And some of the compliance data have to be done in your sovereign regions. You can't generally do it out of clouds where the data center is also based elsewhere. Yeah. So what's happening is there is a lot of complexity here, and it needs a lot more deliberation across levels at the board. Yeah. So I think that's a foundational shift. And if you want to add complexity onto it, then you have the policy pieces, you have the regulation pieces, and you have the geopolitics now playing out as well. Yeah. So I mean, data protection, localization, energy sustainability, all of these are also fairly, important kind of a set. So the way this whole thing is playing out is actually fairly crucial, and C-suite now needs to own this conversation. It's no longer a vendor CTO kind of a discussion. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's gone beyond that.
Absolutely. I think what you just said is music to Sojan and Gitesh's ears, I can imagine, because that's what they're offering right now. But
we've gotten away so far, because in that automation era, you had these lab coats wearing guys in a cold room.
Yeah.
So data center was one in one corner. Now it's across, it's diffused.
Exactly.
I mean, you have technology that's diffused, you have intelligence that's diffused. And like I mentioned, different components will need different trade-offs between latency and compute. Yeah. So you need a very distributed chain.
Very well said, Abhay. Thank you so much. Very well said. We're blurring the lines between technology and business. Absolutely correct. Thank you so much for devoting so much time to us, all our panelists. But again, I'm not letting you drop off just right now. Please hold on. Can we have some poll questions for our attendees, please? Because we have not forgotten them as well. Okay, again, so we heard challenges from the BFSI practitioners. We have about 70 to 80 more BFSI practitioners as attendees. Let's hear what's their biggest challenge in deploying AI workloads. 1, 2. Okay, let's see the response if we have enough, if we've had enough time.
Just 10 seconds more. I see people responding.
Okay. Sure, absolutely. And maybe after this, we can also have the QR code. I think we're nearing the end of our discussion, so I would.
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect. I was just thinking for BFSI, the compliance factor itself needs another webinar. That cannot be discussed in 2 questions. It's just too vast and too necessary. Okay, so we have the responses in. And 41% said there, again, I just mentioned compliance has to be a webinar topic. Security and compliance is the major concern or major challenge for 41% of our BFSI practitioners who are attending. All right, and 17% is a lack of skilled talent. And only 3% have cited data silos or unavailability as a major challenge. That's something to ponder over, and we will. Can we also have the QR code for our attendees before we have the closing remarks? Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We thank you so much for staying on this webinar. I know we stretched it for 20 minutes, and that's a little bit unusual, but I hope it was worth your time. But before that, please scan this QR code, share a post for us, and there's a token of appreciation from CIFI and ISMG's end, so please avail that as well. I also once again want to thank all our panelists. Very, very insightful discussions here. Anish, Abhay, Arjun, Sojan, Gitesh, absolutely incredible speaking to all of you. And I hope we can do this again sometime. We really need to dive into this a bit more. It's really clear right now that AI is not just changing business models in BFSI. It's just, like you mentioned, Abhay, it's fundamentally changing everything from customer insights to personalization. You guys mentioned all of that. And the demands of AI at scale has forced us to rethink DC design, resilience, compliance, sustainability, everything all at once. So it's a very interesting time to be alive in, and it's very interesting to see how we will go from here. So absolutely incredible. I think before we wrap up though, like for any event, we can only improve if we know where we have gone wrong, what we can work on. So we have, again, a couple of questions as a feedback. Please let us know where we can improve, what you liked, what you did not like. So can we please have those questions as well? To our panelists, you can give your feedback to me directly also over chat later. All of you. So please feel free to do that. And Sife would like to know whether our attendees would like to visit their AI data center campus. How was their overall event experience and which aspect did they find most valuable? Okay, so we'll just wait maybe 5 to 7 more seconds and then we'll, okay, perfect. Again, thank you so much for making the time. I cannot emphasize enough on how much we appreciate that you, instead of 1 hour, you spent 1 hour 22 minutes with us. That's a whole lot in your from your busy day. So thank you all for making the time. Sojan, Gitesh, Arjun, Anish, Abhay, and our entire delegates, all of the delegates, thank you so much for being here. I hope you got something to take away from the experience.
Yes,
Thank you all.
thank you to you also.
Thanks. Sure.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.